Okay, please confirm if my screen is visible.
Visible, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we are going to discuss deep into the for loops concepts. Last class we have discussed about the nested for loops. So nested for loops are what? When you place a for loop inside another for loop is called as the nested for loop. Okay, the nested for loops in Java. A for loop within the for loop is called as the nested for loop, and this is the syntax for that. You have the outer for loop, and inside that you place another for loop, which is called as what? The inner for. So this is inner for loop, and this is the body of the outer for loop. We have discussed some problems on, and also we have discussed about the how exactly the control is getting flown from one place to another place, from one for loop to another for loop, right? So to understand it much better, I will introduce the Java patterns concept, so that by these patterns you will be able to get more comfortable in understanding the nested for loops. Patterns, when I say patterns, so the patterns are classified into three types. Okay, the Java patterns are classified into three types. Okay, so what are the patterns actually? See, you will be asked to display a kind of star pattern. For example, the triangular star pattern, right? So there is a pattern called the triangular star pattern. So this is how it looks like. Right angle triangle star pattern. Okay, you must understand how to write a for loop, nested for loop, to display the star pattern like this, the right angle star pattern in the console. Sometimes you will be asked to display the diamond star pattern, right? You will be asked to display the square star pattern. Sometimes you will be asked to display the rectangular star pattern. There are many patterns that you would come across very often, especially when you are giving interviews in Java. It is not only about how to display the star pattern. It's all about developing insights, developing ideas. If you want to use the for loops effectively, you must have a good knowledge on how to display these things in the console. Right? So I would say that the Java patterns are classified into three types. The first one is the star pattern. You have the star pattern. The second one, you have the number pattern. Okay, the third one, you have the character pattern. Okay, the number pattern would resemble like this. You will be having like 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. So this is one of the examples of number pattern. The right triangle number pattern. Likewise, if you want to go for the character pattern, so this is how it looks like. The character pattern. So we need to understand how these things works internally first of all, right? And if you ask me, do you write any code on top of Java patterns, right? So you don't write, you especially don't write any kind of code on top of Java patterns. So this is just for the understanding, okay? When you just when you are working on the patterns, it is like you are going to enhance the coding skills first of all, and your logical thinking skills will improve, and also you will improve to understand the looping concepts especially. Okay, your looping concept, your for loop concepts are going to be improved. So what I'm trying to say is Java programming patterns are used to enhance your coding skills. Java programming patterns are used to enhance your coding skills. Okay? Skills, logical skills, and also to get some good insights about the control flow of for loops. So it doesn't mean that you are going to design a kind of program where you will be displaying the star pattern to the end user. There is no such thing. right? So if you understand star patterns, if you understand how to display the patterns in the console, it is like you are expert in what? You are expert in the for loops as well as in the nested for loop, right? So let us understand one by one. Okay, let me implement one by one. So before that, I want you to answer me. I will ask you a simple question. Simple question is like, what is the difference? Okay, what is the difference between the following two statements? Okay, the first one is system dot out dot print line print ln. Okay, I have an instruction like allow ss. Okay, and I have another instruction like system dot out dot print ln. So this time I'm going to remove something here. So what is that? I'm going to remove ln here. So what is the difference between? You need to understand the difference between this statement as well as this statement. Don't say that here ln is there, here ln is not there. Output wise, what would be the difference? When you want to execute this, what are the changes that would happen in the console? Output wise, what are the changes that you are going to see? Right? Very simple. This first instruction, right? The moment the main thread executes this instruction, okay, it is going to do what? It is going to display the content first of all. The content will be displayed, like, okay, allow will be displayed in the console. Okay, and if you see the cursor, this statement will ensure that the cursor is getting moved to the next line. So line means it's a kind of new line, right? The cursor, it will ensure that the cursor is moved to the next line, right? But the moment you use this statement, okay, and typically allow will be displayed on the console. The exact string is going to get displayed on the console, but the cursor will not get moved to the next line. It will not be forced to move to the next line. It will remain in the same line. Okay, if you remove ln, the cursor will remain the same line, but if you do not remove ln, if you place ln, the cursor is forced to move to the next line. Okay, having said this, if I have instructions like, okay, if I ask you something like, system dot out dot println, system dot out dot print, system dot out dot println, and again system dot out dot println. Can you say what would be the what would how the strings will look like in the console? Anyone? If I try to execute this code, how these things would get displayed in the console? Hello, am I audible?
One audible print, sir.
What?
Yes, sir.
Hello,
One will print, sir.
your voice is not audible, guys. Am I audible?
First all I will print, sir.
Okay. Okay, so can I say that? Okay, see, first allow gets printed after this line execution, right? So if you see, okay, you are just using print here. Print means the cursor will remain in the same line, yes or no? Right? And the next instruction gets executed, and again allow will be printed. And if you see that cursor is on the same line, and the allow will be occupying this space, next space is the same line. After this, okay, it finds that okay, you're using print ln, so cursor gets a new line. The next allow will be printed in. If I execute this code, the output has to be like this. Java C space a dot Java, Java space. You see allow, and you see another allow in the next line. The first two allows are getting printed in the same line, and the second allow is in the next line. Right? Why we are understanding this difference? Okay, if you understand this difference, you will be understanding how to execute the star pattern. Right? I hope you have got the understanding now. Now you tell me what would be the answer now if I execute this code.
All three on the same
Yes,
line.
all three strings are going to be printed on the same line, right? If you see, all three strings are going to get printed on the same line. This is the idea. Now if I say, if I keep using ln here and ln here and ln here, I mean, it's just like saying that get the new line, get me the new line. If I execute this code, every string will get a new line. Okay, allow gets printed, and enter key it is going to for the cursor is going to be moved to the next line, and allow gets printed and the cursor gets moved to the next line. Allow will be printed and the cursor gets moved to the next line, but you don't see that it is getting moved to the next line actually. You don't see that these things are happening. See, I think there is a space here if you see space here, but you don't see exactly where the cursor is, right? So just keep this idea in the mind. Okay, now my requirement is I want to display the horizontal star pattern. So when I say horizontal star pattern, I should get this thing in the console. I just want to display the horizontal. Forget about the triangular pattern. Okay, we will understand that later. Firstly, my simple requirement is I just want to print the horizontal star pattern. If I get this kind of question in the interview room, okay, we have many options. Okay, what is the naive approach that we can do? I can use system.out.println. I mean system.out.print. I can say. Okay, the naive approach is what I can just say, right? So this is the naive approach. Anyone can do this by just using the system.out.println. We are able to print the horizontal star pattern. But if I want to print the vertical star pattern, vertical means a straight line from north to south direction. Okay, I will be using ln here, right? I will be using ln here, and every time I need to ensure that, okay, so it has to be like this. So this is a naive approach. It is not the what we call it as, it is not the good approach or the perfect approach. It is not the recommended approach, but this is actually the naive approach. So from our understanding, if you are not knowing about for loops, this is the approach that you would follow. Since we know the for loop, we will understand how to execute this by using the for loops. Okay, so now we are able to print the horizontal pattern, and also we are able to do the vertical pattern just by using system.out.println. But let me do the other way. Okay, what is that other way? I just want to print the horizontal sort pattern. I can use the loop for integer I equal to 0, I is lesser than or equal to 10, okay, I plus plus. Okay, let me take I equal to 1. Okay, now if I run this code, now like we are able to do what? We are able to achieve this by using the for loop. Now this print statement, now I am not using println, I am just using print. This print statement will ensure that it is fulfilling our requirement. Yes or no? Every star will be printed and the cursor is going to be on the same line. Next star will be printed and the cursor is going to be on the same line. Like that, the star is going to get printed for the 10 times. You agree with me? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Right? Likewise, if I want to do the vertical star pattern, this is the horizontal one. If I want to do the vertical, what changes I am supposed to make here? Anyone with this can say. What changes I can make here so that my star pattern is going to be the vertical way, in a straight line. Hello.
ln.
Yes, adding ln will make the huge amount of difference. Okay, can we say just adding ln, I would be able to seeing what my output is going to be like completely vertical. So now we are trying to understand the basics of printing the star pattern. So this is the idea behind that. So by using this idea, we will be able to print the triangular pattern, rectangular pattern, square pattern, and we will be increasing the complexity. That is the secondary thing that we will understand. But for now, this understanding is important. Now this is the star pattern, but I want to do the same thing to print the number pattern. If you want to do the same thing to print the number pattern, let me take number from 1 to 9 only, because again, if you take 10 and 10 is a number with 2 decimal points, right? So 2 decimal values. So I don't want to take that. 1 to 9. Instead of using star here, I can directly use I. Right? By this, I can ensure that my output is an horizontal number pattern. A horizontal number pattern. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, so since it is looking clumsy, I want to ensure that for the better observation, what I am trying to do here is I can add an extra space here. By just keep adding extra space, what would happen? First, for the first iteration, 1 will be printed. The cursor is going to be on the same line. Okay, and this 1 is going to get concatenated with a space. So 1 gets concatenated with a space. The cursor is going to be on the same line. Again, 2 will be printed. 2 gets concatenated with the space. The cursor is going to be on the same line. Likewise, till number 9 will be printed. But this time you can observe it very clearly. Yes or no? You see. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Likewise, if I want to go for horizontal, only one change I will do, ln I will be doing. So I will not be using space here, okay, because you can observe it very clearly. That space is not required. Let me execute this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have achieved the horizontal pattern and we have achieved the vertical pattern. Now I want to go for what? I want to go for the character pattern. So character pattern is what changes that I can do here so that my output is going to be displayed in the English alphabet starting from here. If you remember one thing, I was telling you that the characters are mapped to the Unicode in Java, right? And that Unicode gets converted to the ASCII value. For each and every number, there is an ASCII. I mean, for each and every character, there is an ASCII value, fixed ASCII value. When I take the alphabet A, the ASCII value is what? 65. Okay, for the alphabet B, the ASCII value is 67. I mean 66. Like this, if you just keep increasing the number, okay, the number gets mapped to the consecutive subsequent English alphabets. For C, 67. 67. This is the rule. Okay, every number is mapped with a particular character by using the ASCII value. Right. So I will be starting from the number 65. I would say let's start I from 65. I would say let's terminate this for loop by ensuring that the for loop is running until this condition is satisfied. 75. I want to print first 10 alphabets. If I start means A, 75 means, or you can find what is the letter of 75. So if A is 65, B is 60, B is 67, F, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73. Till K. You want to display like this. If I just run this code, what will be the result? Okay, the result would be not what I am expecting. Okay, the result would be like, all the numbers are getting displayed. But I want to display the equivalent ASCII character. Okay, I will convert this integer by using the concept of typecasting. We have discussed this already. Right? I want to typecast this number to the character. So what I will be doing, this I has to get typecasted to what? To the character. I will be using the typecast operator. Inside this, I will be ensuring that the character data type has been placed. So this integer number is getting typecasted every time. Right? And if you see the result, you don't see the numbers actually. Instead of numbers, the equivalent ASCII value that is mapped to that particular number will be displayed in the console, which is what? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Right? Let me keep one space for the better observation. Okay. Are you getting? Now you're able to achieve the horizontal character pattern. And if you want to achieve the vertical character pattern, I will be adding just ln statement in. So this will ensure that for the vertical, to achieve the vertical character pattern, I do not want to add spaces here because the output is going to be much observable. ABCD. So far, have you understood about the horizontal pattern and vertical pattern? Just say yes or no. Are you good with this pattern till now?
Yes.
Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's move to the next thing. Okay. Now let us try to do something here. Okay. We have understood this. Okay. Now my requirement is I just want to design a kind of square star pattern. What I'm trying to say, I want to find the 5 square star pattern, which means 5 stars will be displayed in the first line, the next 5 stars, next 5 stars, next 5 stars, next 5 stars. I want to achieve this. Okay. What are the possible steps that we need to do to print the square star pattern in the console? What are the steps that we need to take? To understand this, okay, let me start with the code here. Let me take the number I equal to 1. Okay, let me take the conditional check until we will iterate till I gets 10. Okay, and let me do what? Now we focus here. If I just give I here, if I just give I without adding the new line, right? Now you see, we know what is the answer is. The horizontal pattern will be displayed. Okay, it is displaying numbers. Okay, let me take star here. Okay, the horizontal star pattern will be displayed. Right? I want to repeat the process. I want to repeat the process for how many times? For the 10 times. I want to repeat the process. This process has got repeated for one. Let me keep the value 5 here. I want to repeat the same process for the 5 times. I want to run this. Okay, so this has ensured that one horizontal line has been printed in the console. After that, the iteration is getting completed and you are able to see the 5 stars in the console. But I want to repeat this once again. I want to repeat it for the second time. I want to repeat it for 5 times so that I will get the complete perfect square. What I'm doing it is I'm thinking like if I place another for loop inside the for loop, if I place a nested for loop, okay, I'm just placing nested for loop. So we know the functionality of what? Functionality of the nested for loop. We have discussed this day before yesterday, if you remember how the inner for loop works. For every one iteration for the outer for loop, the inner for loop is going to execute it for the number of iterations that you are placing in the inner for loop. In this case, for every two condition for the outer for loop, the inner for loop has to get executed for 5 times. Why 5 times? The condition is 5, right? 0 to, let me take 1. 1 to 5. 1 to 5 means you will get 5 truths. For the 5 times, the condition is found to be true for the 5 times. Because that is what the condition is. Again, for the second outer condition, second true outer condition, again the inner for loop has to get iterated for the 5 number of times. Again for the third time, inner for loop has to get 5 number of times. Like this for the fourth time, 5 number of times. For the fifth time, 5 number of times. This is the rule. Right, let us apply the same rule. Now if I execute this code, my star, okay, I will get the horizontal pattern for the first iteration. And when I repeat the iteration for the second time, when this iteration gets repeated for the second time, right, the cursor will not move to the next line. Why? Because you are not using ln here. So those 5s will be printed on the same line. Those next 5 stars will be printed on the same line. I want to find a way to break the line. I want to find a way to break this line. How I can achieve that? Okay. Can I just place system.out.print and this time system.out.print ln in the outer for loop? Okay, this time I will not use, I will be just keeping, I am going to keep this empty. What it is going to do, the moment the horizontal stars are created for 5 times, okay, the cursor is the main thread is encountering this statement and this is going to get the new line, right? Again 5 stars will be printed. Okay, the main thread encounters this new line statement. Okay, this is going to get the new line, right? Again 5 stars will be printed. This process gets repeated for 5 times, and every time for the inner for loop complete iteration, you are getting the horizontal stars for the 5 times, and the cursor is getting moved to the next line because of this statement. Let me execute this code. We will understand about what is the importance of this. Yeah, tell me.
Sir, J++, sir.
J++. Syntax mistake. Okay, now you see you have got complete star pattern. Okay, 5 into 5 star you got, right? Horizontal pattern is achieved and vertical pattern is achieved. So what is the idea behind it? What is actually happening here? Okay. Understand this. You may think that okay, these things are very easy and it's just like why you should pay attention for this. It's not like that. Understand this, how these things are working internally. To understand this, I'm going to take a 5 into 5 table here. Okay. Now you see here we have to understand there are 2 cursors. When I say 2 cursors, one is the I cursor. One of the cursor is I. So this is the I cursor. Let me say this cursor as J. Okay, this is what cursor? This is I cursor. Okay, and this cursor is what? This cursor is J cursor. Okay, so I'm giving my own names I and J. Why I and J? If you see the code, there is outer for loop which is starting from I. Okay, the value 1 is initialized to the variable I. I'm taking that as I, and the value 1 is initial to the variable J for the inner for loop. So I am taking my two cursors. I am just assuming that there are two cursors. Okay, the job of the I cursor, the job of the I cursor is doing what? Every time the outer for loop iteration starts, every time the outer for loop iteration. So this is the outer for loop iteration. So the condition whenever the condition is true, right? So the control gets inside the outer for loop, right? Control gets here and it starts executing the inner for loop. For how many times? For 5 number of times, for 5 iterations. Why 5 iterations? You're starting from 1 and you are terminating at 5. So it this inner for loop gets iterated for 5 number of times. I can say that, right? The moment the inner for loop start executing, how many times? 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, 4 time, 5 time. Every time, okay, it is ensuring that star is getting displayed. For every iteration, it is ensuring that the star is getting displayed. Yes or no? For the first iteration of the inner for loop, it is ensuring that, okay, star is getting displayed. For the second iteration, star is getting displayed. Third iteration, star is getting displayed. Fourth iteration, star is getting displayed. Fifth iteration, star is getting displayed. Right? So it will ensure for every iteration, one star is getting printed. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For the 5 iteration, star is getting printed. For the 6th iteration, the condition will be failed. So it will go back to the place where it was just started. And what is the duty of the outer for loop? It will ensure that for every iteration, it is ensuring that it is going to get it's going to place the cursor to the next line. The job of the outer for loop is just pushing the cursor to the next line. It's not doing much work. It is just pushing the cursor to the next line. Okay. So second iteration has started. The second iteration has started, right? And the control will be hitting the inner for loop, and this inner for loop has to get executed for five times. For the 6th time, it is going to be false. For the 5 times, it has to get executed, isn't it? So again, okay, the inner for loop is I. The cursor J gets for the first iteration, it will print star. Second, third, fourth, for all the 5 iterations, it will ensure that stars are getting printed. Star, 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 star. The job of the outer for loop is to move the cursor to the next line, and the process gets repeated. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? For every inner for loop iteration, it will ensure that the star is getting printed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, after printing this, okay, J gets out of the boundary and it will going to place where it was started, and the I is going to move the cursor to the next line, right? And as the process is getting repeated, and you would see that all the stars are getting displayed as per the requirement. What is the requirement? Is we are getting the output in the form of what? Square pattern. Right? At last, when I becomes 6, the moment I becomes 6, it is going out of the boundary. So this is going to get terminated. These both cursors are going to get what? They are going to get terminated. And you see these results in the console. Right? So if you see that the star pattern, okay, we are able to see, but it's not clear. Okay, it is something like it is very much congested, right? So I can do what? I can do a space here. I can just add a space here. Space where? Okay. In the inner for loop, if I will just add an additional space. Okay. If I add this additional space, the output is very much crystal clear. You see, 5 into 5. But if you want to, if they are asking you to print 10 into 10 star pattern, what you would do? Just take a variable name outside. Let us say that integer pattern equal to 50. Okay, instead of using the value here, just use the variable name here, which is what? Pattern. Use the pattern here and use the pattern here. Okay, so that the next time you do not have to make changes for the nested for loop. Okay, you do not want to touch the for loop. You want to do changes, you will be making changes just to the variable pattern. You put 50 here, it means 50 pattern will be displayed in the console. 50 square pattern. If you put 20 here, okay, 20 square pattern will be displayed. 2020. That we are able to achieve the square pattern. Okay, and also this is the square pattern, square star pattern. If you want to achieve the number star pattern, okay, numbers star pattern, what you can do only small change here. Instead of giving star here, you can just say I here, or else you can do what, you can add, if you want you can add 1 year. Okay, this is going to get printed what, every, you'll get 1 1 1 1. Instead of stars you will get 1, but they would ask you to print the number in the increasing order. They would ask you to print all the numbers in the increasing order, but the possibility is there only when you limit the pattern to 9, because after 9 you get 2-digit number, so that is not going to meet our requirement actually, right? I am changing the pattern to 9, which means the numbers from 1 to 9 will be displayed in the console. I did not save this, huh? Okay, so it should be I, sorry, J, sorry, not I, J. Okay, the number J will be printed, the value inside the variable J will be printed. 1 2 3 4 in the increasing order, 1 2 3 4 5, and you have 1 1 1. If you want to print the if you want to achieve the character pattern here, you will be, instead of starting from 1, you will be starting from 65, right? And you will be keeping the pattern as something like 75, right? So not here, okay, exactly, will not do the changes here. If you want, you can do the changes here also, no issues. Okay, let me keep 65 because that is going to give only the spaces here. Okay, 75. Let me take the same numbers for J. 65. The pattern is 75. Okay, you just do the typecasting. You get the number 65. That number will be typecasted to the character. Now the output will be what? The character pattern. You will see the output in the character pattern in the increasing order. You are supposed to see this. Let us check that. Okay. A B C D F G H I J K. So what is actually making this change? The inner for loop is making these changes, not the outer one. Outer one is just a kind of moving the cursor to the next line. Okay? The conversion is actually happening. The character is actually extracted by the inner for loop. Are we good here, everyone? Are you able to follow me? Yes, no? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Right? Clear, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now I can say that by this we can conclude, we can come to conclusion. What kind of conclusion we can have? To achieve any pattern, okay, especially to achieve the star pattern, I need to take what? I need to take two for loops to achieve the square star pattern. I need to take 2 for loops to achieve the square star pattern. First thing, okay, the outer for loop is going to add the new line. It is not doing anything. This outer cursor I is not doing anything. It is not doing any work. It is doing some work. What it is actually doing, it is just adding the new line. Outer for loop is just there to add the new line. Is adding the new lines. Okay, the inner for loop is actually doing what? The inner for loop is used to print the horizontal stars or horizontal number pattern or the horizontal character pattern. The inner for loop is actually doing the work. For loop is actually doing what? Actually printing the star or the character or the number pattern according to the requirement, right? Not pattern, horizontal pattern. Horizontal. Right? So this is the observation that you can make by doing this. Now I will give you one thing. Now try to answer if you can. Okay, what I want to give, just try to tell me what would be the output. Okay, by looking at this, you need to tell what would be the output. I'm saying I equal to 10. I'm starting from I equal to 1. Let me keep it as pattern. Again j equal to 1. Let me keep this as pattern, right? And instead of having this, let me keep the I itself. Okay, let me add some space. right? Think and tell me what would be the answer if I execute this code. You have outer for, this is the outer for loop and this is the inner for loop, right? Okay, not here. So the break should be. Can anyone tell me? Let's see who is going to answer this. Anyone?
Okay. It will print horizontally 10, just to one line.
Will print or okay, good. Yeah, because the moment you start using the break statement, okay, the control will be terminated out of the for loop. The control is going to do what? Is going to terminate out of the for loop. Right now, you tell me if I use the same break instead of in the outer for loop. If I use this, over here. Okay, so there will be some difficulties in answering this, but try to give answers if you can. If you have pen and paper, you can answer this very easily.
One will print, sir.
What?
Only one number will print, sir.
Only one number will print. Let's see. See, you get all the numbers 1 to 10. Why I'm asking this? You are trying to, you have to understand the power of break here. Moment you place a break inside the inner for loop, especially at the end of the inner for loop, what is usually happening, right? So the 1 will be printed first. So this is going to ensure that the 1 is getting printed. The moment the inner for loop is getting activated, the 1 is getting printed. But again, it has find the break. Break means the next iterations will be stopped completely, right? The control will come here and it is going to move the cursor to the next line. So now the job of the outer for loop will be started for the second time. When it starts for the second time, and again the inner for loop is always getting executed for the one time only. The inner for loop is always going to get executed for how many times? It is going to get executed for the one time only. Let me run this code. Now focus here. You have two variables. Okay, pattern is there. Forget about the pattern. It is always 10, right? You have variable I, you have variable j. Do you want me to explain this? You have understood or not? Hello? Can I proceed with the pattern? I mean, can we proceed with the tracing, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Can we proceed? See, now focus here. You have I, you have j. Okay. What is the value of I? I is assigned to 1, right? J is what? J is not yet started. Okay. The moment the main thread is starting, okay, the main thread finds the outer for loop, right? In the once it finds outer for loop, the value is 1. After this, it is going to encounter the inner for loop. Right? The moment it encounters inner for loop, it has found that value of 1 is assigned to the variable j. The variable j is going to get 1. Okay, after this, what is happening? You are printing the I itself here, isn't it? You are printing I. It is just like, okay, it will start from here, expression 1 of inner for loop, okay, and the conditional check will happen. The control will go inside. Obviously, the conditional check will ensure that it is returning true here. The control will go inside. You are printing I here. What is the value of I? I is what? I is 1. 1 will be printed on the console. After that, it is encountering what? The break statement. Break statement means the control will forcefully terminated out of the inner for loop. So it will come here. Let us find what? Let us find a system.out.println which is going to push the cursor to the next line. So in the console, the cursor will be pushed to the next line. Right after this, it has to go to the expression 2 of the outer for loop. Right now, again it is true. Now I becomes what? I becomes 2. After the incrementing, I becomes 2. You are just making the changes of value I. Okay, only you are trying to fetch the value of I here inside the inner for loop, not j here. Right? For every outer for loop execution, the I is getting incremented from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. And you want to display the same thing here. And after the first iteration, you want to ensure that the control is encountering the break statement, so that the control gets terminated out of the inner for loop, and it is finding the the system.out.println statement, which is going to push the cursor to the next line. So that's why the output is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 9 till 10. Right? The moment if I do, okay, instead of I, if I place j here, now you tell me what would be the answer. You have pen and paper, you can answer it very easily. You cannot answer this, if you cannot answer this with imagination, you need to use pen and paper. Can you answer this? I have just made a small change. I have just placed I j here. Anyone? Hello.
Also increasing order of numbers.
What?
Increasing order of numbers.
Okay, let's see. Only one will be printed because the j is always going to be 1 for the every iteration. Only one will be printed every time. See guys, what is happening? The outer for loop encounters the true condition. Okay, the control comes into the inner for loop, right? So it encounters the true condition. After encountering true condition, okay, the control will come into the inner for loop again, right? You are just printing the value of j. J is initialized to 1, right? The 1 gets printed. The control encounters a break statement, which means the iteration will be the next iterations will be terminated. The control will jump out of the inner for loop and it comes here, right? It will ensure that the new line is getting created in the console, right? After this, you will repeat this again for the true. Again, the j is starting from 1 only, right? It is getting resetted to 1 only. For every fresh time, the j is always starting from 1, right? After printing 1, you are breaking it. Again, it repeats. Okay, after printing 1, you are breaking the loop. Again, you repeat. After printing 1, you are breaking the loop. Are you able to follow, everyone? Yes, no? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Able to follow. If you use pen and paper, these things are very easy. If you are just trying to imagine these things, it will not work out. But try to trace it by using pen and paper. Now, having said this, now my requirement is I want to print. Okay, I want to print this pattern. What is that pattern? The right angle triangle pattern. How can we achieve this? Okay, so stay focused here. So let us start the outer for loop from 1 and let us terminate it till 5. Okay, 1 to 5. Okay, we have the outer for loop. Okay, and I am taking the inner for loop, like for integer j equal to, I want to take something. Okay, I'm not sure what I want to take. J is lesser than or equal to, I want to take something here, but I am not sure what I want to take. But I know I should increment the j. I know these things, but I am not sure what value I can place here, at what value I can place here, so that my output will be in the form of what? The rectangular star pattern. Okay, now my inner for loop is going to have a body, but I know what is the body. The body is like system dot out dot println. Okay, and I am just I know that I have to place star. I know this. But I am not sure the initialization in the inner for loop. I am not sure about the conditional check in the inner for loop. I am not sure about the boundary actually. But I know this. I want to print something here. But I also know something. What is that? For every inner for loop, for the after completing the number of iterations for the inner for loop, the cursor should move to the next line. For that, I am placing this system.out.println. I am placing the new line, print new line, println. Okay, the moment you find this, right, your output will be what? Your output will be the complete triangular pattern, right angle triangle pattern. Let's try to analyze this. Okay, now focus here. Now focus here. We have this code, unknown code. We are bothered about the initial, I mean the starting point and the ending point in the inner for loop. We don't know what is the starting point and we don't know what is ending point. But you can design, you can think this in a different way. You have two cursors. One is the I cursor you have, and second one is what? Second one is the J cursor. Okay. So when I is 1, when I is pointing to 1, 1 means for the first iteration in the I is nothing but the outer for loop, right? I am taking it as I. This is outer for loop. So the moment it points to 1 is nothing but the iteration. It is talking about the iteration. It is just talking about the iteration, right? What we should see, the J should start from where the I is starting. J should start from where the I is starting, which means they should start from here. J should start from here. Okay, and J should do what? J should print the star. Okay, and J should come back to its position. Okay, and the moment the I becomes 2, the moment the I becomes, I mean I is getting the second iteration, J should start from 1 to 2, 1 and should end at 2, right? So what J should do? J should print 2 stars. Now focus the pattern here. When the I becomes 3, when I becomes 3, J should start from 1 and it should end at 3. When I is 3, J should start from 1 and it should end at 3, which means J should be printing 3 stars. For the first iteration 1 star, second iteration 2nd star, third iteration 3rd star. It should stop at 3. When I is at 3, J should stop at 3 and it should come back. When I is at 4, okay, J should start from 1, it should end at 4. Okay, for every iteration, right, you should what? You should have to ensure that stars are printed for the 4 times. Okay, when I is 4, J should start from 1, it should end at 4. When I is 5, J should start from 1 and it should end at 5. Now we have the pattern. Okay, we have just, we have just discovered one pattern that is hiding inside, that is hiding deep inside. What is that pattern? Okay, the moment I becomes when the moment I is getting the 5th iteration, okay, J should run for 5 times. The moment the I is getting the 4th iteration, okay, J should run for what? J should run for 4 times. The moment I is getting 3rd iteration, okay, J should run for 3 times. Okay, what I should do? J should always start from 1. J should always start from 1. But the ending of J depends upon the iteration of I. J should always start from 1. I can say that let me start the J from 1 always. I want to start the J from 1 always. But the ending depends upon the number of the I iteration. Okay, if I is encountering the first iteration, J should end at 1. If I is encountering the second iteration, J should end at 2. If I is encountering the third, J should end at 3. If I is encountering the fourth iteration, J should end at 4. If I is encountering the fifth iteration, J should end at 5. So the relationship is what? J equal to I. This is a relationship. This is end rule. I can simply say that J is less or equal to I. right? Making sense? If I do this, if I just do this, j is lesser or equal to I, okay, j should start from 1, always 1, but it should end at exactly where the I iteration starts. So I would be keeping j is lesser or equal to I here. If I do this and if you see the result, I'm sorry, no, I am not supposed to use ln here because it should be the same line and should ensure that the cursor is getting moved to the next line. See, you are getting the star pattern. Are you able to follow everyone what I am trying to say? Yes, no? Are you able to understand the pattern?
Yes, sir.
Everyone? Only
Yes.
Balaji is answering. What about
Yes.
others? Now you see,
Yes.
if the output is not a kind of what, not a kind of right angle triangle, right? So what I can do, I want to add space every time, right? I will ensure that the space is kept. Okay, I will just concatenate additional space so that the output looks what crystal clear. Okay, now we have the star, right? And if you just change the numbers like 50 here, okay, the size also going to get increased. Triangle pattern that you can increase, and you have the control of increasing triangle as well as decreasing the triangle. If you want to convert this to the number pattern, right? So instead of printing star, you just print the value of, you print the value of I, you will get the different number pattern. If you just consider I here, you will get the different number pattern. In the interview, they will ask you like this to confuse you. They will ask you exactly the number pattern like this. See, the increasing order is like 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. Horizontally, it is increasing like this, but with the same values. And vertically, it is like reducing like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. And if you see this, the last diagonal thing, if you see the diagonal line, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. Only the change that you made is what? You will be thinking a lot to achieve this, but you will be making, first you try to achieve this by using the star pattern, then converting that, then substituting the numbers are going to be very easy. The moment you place I here, you will get different pattern. The moment you place j here, you will get a pattern like what? Get a pattern like, see, both are different, isn't it? Both are different, right? So they will give this you, they will ask you to achieve this, but first you will achieve the star, then you can achieve these things easily. If you want to achieve the same thing for the character pattern, what I can do, right? I have to start from what? I will be starting from 95. We have seen these things, right? So let us start from 65 to 75, right? We will start this from 65. Okay, it should end at what? It should end at where I is getting iterated, right? Let me print the value of j here and convert it to character, typecast it to character. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, right? And if you want to see the other character pattern, okay, instead of J, you will be using I here. Both are different, isn't it? You have A, B, A, B, C, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. Here, A, B, B, C, 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 D, 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 E, E, F, 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 C, C, C. Are you able to get this, everyone? Are you able to follow me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, no? So likewise, so there are a lot of patterns that we have. We have a kind of pattern like diamond pattern we have, right? We have pattern like, okay, just try this in your own. Just try if you are able to achieve this, okay? If you are not achieving this, I will help you. Try doing this by yourself. Square pattern, but you should have, you should only have the boundary. Inside this, you should not have anything. Try to achieve this and try to achieve the pattern like 7. 7 means what? I mean, like, let me put it in the paintbrush. You would achieve like this. Try to achieve this and try to solve, I mean, try to ensure that you are getting L shape. Okay, try to ensure that you are getting the diamond shape. Diamond shape means 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, like this. Try to get the pyramid shape. If you're not getting this, no worries, I will help you with the pyramid. Just try, just practice it. Okay, so when you practice these patterns, it is like solving the data structure problems are going to be easy. You will get lot of permutations and lot of combinations. You will be working with lot of combinations. You will be ensuring that I is getting assigned to a different value, j is getting assigned to a different value. You will develop insights, you will develop thoughts. Okay, when you understand this, understanding the remaining problems, like Fibonacci series, something like you have slide window problem. Okay, you have to find the subsets, you have to find the occurrences of a given occurrences of the characters in a given string. There are so many problems that you can solve by using just by understanding these patterns. If you understand this, solving the data structure problems on top of for loops are going to be very, very easy. Right, so after 2 classes we will be starting the OOPS concepts. Okay, and you focus this. Okay, I will also solve a few more patterns tomorrow. Okay, but I cannot solve all the patterns. Okay, it's your job. You need to do that from yourself. You need to put some efforts. Right. So after 2 or 3 classes, probably I will be starting the OOPS concepts. So I can say that the fundamentals will be completed in 3 classes. Then the new concept OOPS. Okay. Right. So after completing OOPS concept, you are eligible to give an interview. Right. The collections wise, they don't ask much questions for the freshers, but for the experience, they would ask many questions. But the OOPS are the basics of everywhere. Okay, in the real-time applications, without OOPS, you cannot approach a code, or you cannot develop a code, or you cannot understand a code. Everywhere OOPS will be there. The OOPS logics will be there.